Welcome back to San Diego People. We've just learned what autism is and some of the symptoms shown by those who are diagnosed. So what's being done to help them? Well, pediatric occupational therapist and author Sarah Appleman is here to explain. We've got some toys and some fun things. So Sarah, great to see you again. And we've got Amy as well back with us. So Amy, we'll talk to you as well. First of all, what is an occupational therapist?
Well, that is the best question because everyone always thinks that I'm here to get a job for kids. And I'm not. That is not what we do. Basically, an occupational therapist's role is to help a child function in their daily life skills. And what that is think about when a child wakes up in the morning. They have to groom, self-care, go to school, writing, cutting, coloring, play, sports. And what do they need to do? They have to have fine motor skills, gross motor skills. And unfortunately, children with autism have delays in those areas, one or more, and we have to come in to help them so that they're able to master those skills, and we get to bring some fun toys to play with.
So you're talking about the five sensories, right? The sight and the sound and the touch and things of that nature, taste, and you brought a bunch of different items here. How do you use these items to help with a child who is autistic?
The main thing about sensory processing, SPD, or sensory processing disorder, is what it's known for today. It's for survival. So if you're talking to someone and you put your hand on a counter and you don't realize that that's hot, before you even know, your hand is off because your brain is protecting your body. That's what it's for. The purpose of survival that's what sensory processing is. It's for survival. So did you ever go buy fresh milk? What's the first thing you do when you open that milk?
You smell it. Why?
You just bought that milk. You know that milk is okay, but you smell it because some point along the line, maybe you ate something and it's bitter and it doesn't taste good and you'd want to protect your stomach. You don't want to hurt. So the purpose of a typical, as I say, functioning sensory system is to protect yourself, is to make sure that you are surviving, you're okay. Well, there's two sensory pieces that we don't talk about. Probably in kindergarten, it's hard for you to pronounce it and spell it, but it's also a little more difficult. And one of it is called proprioception, which we'll demonstrate with you now. Okay. So close your eyes, raise your right hand. Okay, open your eyes. So how did you know that was your right hand, and how did you know up versus down?
I've just learned it over the years.
Exactly. So proprioception is the term utilized inside your body. There's muscles, joints, and tendons, and that it impacts on your brain, tells you where it is in space and how it is in your environment. So you know that that's your right arm. You know that this is up and this is down. Vestibular system is another one that we talk about, and it's in your inner ear, and it's about keeping your body upright and your head on in relation to gravity and movement. And what happens is your entire life you're supposed to be standing up, but what happens is if you have a change, do you ever see a train and you're at the station and you're just stepping on your brake because you think it's moving and you're like, oh, I'm stepping on my brake, and it's really something else is going, another car is moving, or the train's moving.
If I'm on the train?
No, you're in the car next to it. And you're stepping on your brake, you're like, I'm not going. And, and then you're stepping on your brake and it tricks you.
It tricks you, sure, okay.
Or some people love roller coasters and other people don't like roller coasters. So these are the types of things that are your sensory system. That's basically what we talk about. Children who are diagnosed with autism don't have a typical functioning system. So they interpret this stimuli and they don't know how to interpret it in a typical manner. So what happens is they get overstimulated or understimulated. And so what we do is we bring some toys and some different things to help regulate. I work in an office in Sorrento Mesa, and it's called FITS, Functional Integration Therapy Services, and they have huge apparatuses and a great team. I couldn't bring all that, so I did bring a couple of things. So let's say there's a kid with tactile defensiveness.
Sure. Amy, did you use any of these things?
Yes, I personally feel like OT is one of the most important therapies you can give to a child. Occupational therapy. Right. Sorry, us autism parents, it's all about acronyms.
But it's the best thing for children.
Because if you have hypersensitive hearing or vision, and the lights, like when my children were little, we'd go into the supermarket and they can hear the lights buzzing. So they would have all these behaviors and not be able to like go shopping because everything is so overwhelming. Well, if you can work on getting their senses more regulated to where they can not be so overwhelmed by that, then you can go out and function in the community. And I mean, that makes a tremendous difference in your ability to have a good quality of life.
Well, that's an interesting example. How would you treat a child who can hear the buzzing of the lights?
Well, that's exactly what we work with. So we have, different techniques that we utilize for desensitization programs. So we have noise canceling headphones. I don't know if you've used this, or we have auditory AIT is like auditory integrative therapeutic training.
So you start with those, and then hopefully eventually they don't need them?
Well, we also have different techniques. So in your home, while there's like a calming area, we tell parents, turn on music, white noises such as fans, or things that they enjoy during a calming state, so that they can, get used to it and acclimate, desensitize. If you're tactile defensive, you don't like we heard before about touch. Right. So there are people who love touch and people who avoid touch, because again, it's a spectrum disorder. So these are ways to work on kids, like all these different, there's slime. I mean, the rage is slime. Everyone, I have a daughter who loves slime, and her kids everybody loves slime.
So how would you use slime to help somebody?
So a child who's tactile defensive, which means they overreact, they don't want to touch it, you hide, let's say, objects or things, and they would have to pick it out very slowly. And I wouldn't bury it in there, and I would
just get better at feeling it, and they realize, okay, maybe it's not so bad.
It's not so bad,
and
I
that
never
way you have the experience in a controlled environment, rather than out in the world where everything is overwhelming.
If they don't like it, you put it away, you try it again.
And then you can move it aside, and then do something fun. And so we slowly start to develop an ability to tolerate some of the things that are less pleasant.
I see. Okay. What else do you have?
What don't I have?
What is this for?
So this is again for visual, because there are kids who have, so I have different things. This is a calming. So, I mean, the basic sense of rules that I have is if a child seeks because they need it, you need to give them that information. So if a child needs to bouncing to get, if you're tired and you wake up in the morning, I tell parents all the time, you go for a run, you go for a jog, you get a shower, you do yoga, whatever, have a cappuccino. Well, these kids, maybe they need to jump, maybe they need to bounce, because that vestibular input, jumping, spinning is alerting. Whereas rocking, if you think of a baby, when you're putting them to sleep, you're not going to jump with them. You're going to rock
them with rocking,
and soothe them with rocking, or put them in a car, right? That motion is very calming. So everything that we talk about is very either alerting or calming. Okay. And that's what all this does. So this is a toy that I use, and it's stimulatory as opposed to a very dripping calming. This one is
this would be used to help calm.
Yes, because I would lower lights. I would put them in a more relaxing environment. This is like a kaleidoscope. This one is so this, if I turned it on and I do it, it's a very, you can make it go fast or slow.
And so kind of which toys will help which children based upon.
This one's for the kids, those popping things, they like the sound of a snap. I give this, it's actually a game. A lot of things I do is I go into stores and I take games apart and I play with them. Yeah. And then I just make it up. I do my own therapy. So this is actually a game called, I believe, Last Mouse Lost or something. But it makes a popping sound. Right. I don't know if you're into that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if you see our kids, when we're in a school setting, kids who are on IEP, kids who have autism or other sensory issues, you often have written into their IEP fidgets and accommodations, so that when they're sitting at a desk and they can't sit still, they have something they can play with in their hands, or they have an exercise ball they can bounce on, and then they can focus on what's being taught to them much better than if you're expecting them to just sit still and focus on being still.
Exactly. The energy.
Sarah, tell us about your book, because we're slowly running out of time, but if somebody wants to get some more information about this and learn more about occupational therapy.
So this I wrote back, Paw Prints was originally, I had back animal-assisted therapy. So I utilize animals to help as a modality to help children get motivated to do OT, PT, speech. And what it does is it explains all of this in terms that you could understand and appreciate. And here are just some examples, because again, if a child doesn't understand top and bottom, how are you going to say start at the top, draw a line down to work on letters or numbers? So as you can see here, this is like very sticky. It was done by a kid, and it's the letter J, and it has jelly, and it's jam, and it's a jellyfish. So each letter, if you open up, every letter has an animal, has stories, has activities that are multi-sensory, so that when the kids are done with the activity, they can review, make the C for the cat's tail, J for the jellyfish, or stamp a spider, and it teaches all visual, movement, and everything to make learning fun. These kids are very smart.
Thank you so much. Wow, really interesting. Sarah, appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks so much, Amy, for coming on the program. Really appreciate enlightening us on autism. Very interesting what you have here. That's going to do it for this edition of San Diego People. Thanks so much for joining us. We encourage you to join us tonight for the KUSI News at 6, 10, and 11. Hope you have a great day.